I went to the hospital, and I don't remember a whole lot of being there. I was there for 10 days. I later went back to the doctor, and he looked a little surprised to see me. And I said, why? He said, I didn't really think you were going to make it.
Wow.
So who knew? Who knew?
And that's when things started really...
I don't know. I wasn't aware of it then. A number of strange things happened at that point in time. That was, I would say, just a couple of years before that was when I went to, I was living on quarters and pennies. I went to...
what do you mean you're living on quarters and pennies?
I was living on change, you know, the extra change you'd find in your sofa, the small amounts of money. I had just opened up my practice. I was practicing in somebody else's office. I figured you go to a doctor's office and you learn how doctors practice. I didn't realize that so many practice differently. They weren't doing a good job. They weren't really great with their patients. They were getting half of my money, so they were really only getting half of the money, you know, from the patients who came in to see me. So they were doing half as much for mine, which didn't do much. I couldn't afford to stay there, then I couldn't afford to leave, then I couldn't afford not to leave. So my idea of a fun time was to go to the $1.50 double feature movie. I went to this movie, and I missed the main one that was playing, so I'll see that one second. And the first one I went in to see was a film called Reconnection with Ellen Burstyn in it. It is a phenomenal film to find and see. You've got to find this film. Don't get the later version.
Okay.
Get the one with Ellen Burstyn, 1980. But anyway, in it, she dies early in the beginning and then comes back to life and finds that she's got this ability to heal. There's the life after death experience of moving through the people and the feeling and the sense with it. There's then the insights as she discovers this ability to bring healing through her hands. It was so amazing. This was the film I didn't go to see, I thought. That then I sat through the main film, and then I sat through that one again, and then I came back with friends, and then I couldn't not watch this film. I had no idea why.
At the time.
Because it was at least another 10 years before these healings started. So yes, there are things that you're drawn to and insights that happen. And I can see them in retrospect. After writing this book, I didn't see them at the time, but you know, at the time, I mean, my life changed. My life changed in a moment. I woke up, the lamp came on, there were people in my house. I go into my office, people are feeling my hands, they blister and they bleed. People start having healings, they're asking me what I did. And all I can tell you is every day is so strange and so fascinating, and yet at the same time, so perfectly normal. I mean, it sounds like a dichotomy, but it's not. And then, if that weren't enough, 4 months into the healing, because it started in August, end of August, beginning of January, I go in to see one of my patients. And this guy had been a patient of mine for a year and a half, seemingly normal guy. Yeah.
Fred, yep.
Do you want me to go there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, then here I am.
Yeah.
Seemingly normal guy. And I adjust him like I always did. I tell him to close his eyes. And with my patients now, what I do when I have them close their eyes is I bring my hands near them. And give me a hand for a second. Hold your hand, just like that. Perfect. Got fingers open just a little more. What I would do is I'd bring my hands near them. Now, and my hand, see how it sort of begins to float back up? It's as if my whole arm is made of styrofoam once I start to feel this. And I tune in until I get a sense. It's just about me. I feel something here, I feel something there. It's just about me. And then when I'm doing this, either you get a sense of something or you don't. Can you describe it?
It's like, even though your hand is that far away, it's like there's a wafting breeze that I know wouldn't
Be made by the movement of my hand.
because it's so
right.
far away. Yeah.
Now, do your fingers normally move like that?
I don't know. Are they moving?
Well, I don't know. Let's bring the camera in and let that decide.
Okay. Camera in.
I don't know what
Yeah,
will or
the thumb
won't
is.
show.
The thumb's actually.
If you watch the forefinger
Yeah.
and the other one too. Well, here, I'm going to pull my hands further away.
Yes, I can see what you're saying.
Okay, can you see what's happening?
Yeah.
Now, notice that it's getting stronger as I pull out. Energy gets weaker with distance. This is not energy. This actually becomes stronger. Close
'Cause
your
I can
eyes for
feel
a
that.
second.
I can feel that wafting again.
Close your eyes.
Yep.
Leave them closed.
Mhm.
Now, as I do this, can you feel, are your eyes still or are they moving?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, actually, they're not moving enough that the camera's going to pick up. It's
Okay.
something close, so you can open your eyes. Anyway.
Because I'm feeling the hand thing. It's very.
It's
yeah.
focused right in there.
Yeah.
And your hands are warm from this, but mine have gotten cold from
Yeah,
it.
yours are cool. Yeah.
It changes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hold my hands near Fred because I feel these sensations, and what I see is that suddenly his eyes roll back in his head, his mouth opens, his tongue moves, and air comes out, making inaudible, well, audible but incomprehensible sounds like, which is not very confidence instilling, you know, when I'm standing there as a doctor. His arms start to move like this. And I'm going, oh my God, what's going on? Well, nothing happens past that, so we finish the session, and I don't say anything to Fred afterwards. He doesn't say anything to me. What am I going to say? Hey, Fred, what's this? So he leaves. Comes back in the end of the week. I know he's going to do it again. I adjust him. I tell him to close his eyes. I bring my hands in. The same thing happens. But this time, that kind of air sound condenses itself into a voice. And he says, or this voice says, we are here to tell you to continue doing what you are doing. What you're doing is bringing light and information onto the planet. Then he said a few other things. I don't remember what. I kind of stopped him because I had to get back to my patients, my other patients. And he said, oh, don't tell anyone, don't tell anyone. You know, this only happened, only 2 people in the world know that this goes on, and I don't want anyone to know about it. And I felt something starting on the last visit, but I thought you didn't notice anything. How could I not, you know? And I said, fine, I won't tell anyone. 2 days later, it happens to 3 other patients. I come back in on their second visit, because their first visit, the air came out, and their second visit, they speak too. Now, are you aware that your index finger has been moving like that?
Well, where my stomach's gurgling.
Oh, okay. Well, that happens. They said, these 3 patients on their second visit, the same 2 sentences Fred said. We're here to tell you to continue doing what you were doing. What you're doing is bringing light and information onto the planet. Then 2 of them added, what you're doing is reconnecting strands. One of them said, what you're doing is reconnecting strings. And Fred came back in at the end of the week and said, what you're doing is reconnecting strings. None of these 4 people knew each other, nor did the 5 people that it happened to a few days later. Over 50 different people in a 3-month period lost consciousness and spoke 6 verbatim phrases. I gave you the first 4. Then the phrases stopped. And now, for all the weirdness, I thought maybe I was doing something wrong. And I lost it because I'd become really excited and attached to this. I had to call my parents during this period of time. Finally, I decided I had to tell them. I had to tell them. So I called them up. They're living on the East Coast of the US, I'm on the West, and I said, now I need you both on the phone, and you just have to listen. I said, I know what this sounds like. I don't want you to think I moved to Los Angeles and fell in with the crazies. And here's the story. I go through the whole thing, the bleeding, the blistering, the this, the that, the other. There's a silence on the phone for a moment, and then my mother says, well, just call me Mary. And I knew it was all right.
Yeah.
I knew it was all right.